Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome to the Modernize or Die show. It's the CFML News Edition. It is episode 204, September 19th. And no, Dan and I are both alive and well. We did not die. We just haven't been here for a while. So if you guys don't remember who we are, I'm Gavin Pickin, Senior Developer for Order Solutions. And I'm joined today by Dan Card, another Senior Developer at Order Solutions. And great to have you back, Dan.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've taken a step back for a couple of weeks to kind of catch up on projects and life in general. But it's good to be back.
Yep, it's a hard balance over here at Ortus, but we try and do what we can to keep everything moving, and that keeps us pretty busy sometimes. But yeah, first let's just thank our sponsor, Order Solutions, because they're the makers of CodeBox, CommandBox, ForgeBox, TestBox, and all your favorite boxes, boxins, or whatever you want to call them out there. So, you want to give us a few ways they can say thanks back to Ortus?
Yep. Sure will. A few ways to say thanks to Ortus Solutions. Like and subscribe to our videos on YouTube. Help Ortus reach the stars by starting and forking our repos. Basically, there's a module we have on ForgeBox called CommandBox GitHub, which will take all the GitHub dependencies in your command box, star it, whether it's from Ortus or not. Kind of an automated way to kind of give props back to people that are doing the work. You can sign up for a free or a paid account on CFCast, which is releasing new content quite often as we can. We also got the Box Life store at ordersolutions.com, about us/shop. In there's all kinds of anything from sweatshirts, t-shirts, and that kind of stuff. You can also buy Ortus books. There's 102 cold box HMVC quick tips and tricks. That's on Gumroad, gum.co/coldbox-tips. And there's also the Lord Modern Cold Fusion CFML in 100+ minutes. That's a couple of the ways you can get that. It's free online. I think it's at a PDF, I guess, or you can buy an ebook or a paper copy from our website, modern-cfml.ortusbooks.com.
I just want to let you guys know, too, that we've done some work on that lately. It has been updated. That's something that's not just dead in the water. So we do update it quite often, and so it's got quite a few updates. But just a little note here. We really appreciate those who subscribe to your podcast, viewers, and everything else, but we really want you guys to leave us a review. And if you do, we'll even read it on the show. So can you guys get out there? Hopefully it's a 5-star review, but get up there on Apple or your other podcast app provider and leave us a review and let us know, and then we'll read it on the show. So thought that'd be
as a result, we want to ask specifically, make it reader friendly. As much fun as it is having Gavin or whoever's here read things online that shouldn't be read online, let's keep it family friendly. And hey, it doesn't have to be a 5-star. We'll read positive or negative.
Yep. And David's in there in the chat, so welcome, David. Good to see you guys back. I know with the new change of schedule, we're every 2 weeks now instead of every week, so try and save up your time, book that, put it on your calendar, and we'll see you guys there. So again, thanks for everyone in the chat. Now we also want to thank our Patreon supporters. We've got 38 Patreon supporters. We got a few that can't use it due to their country of origin, and so we actually have people outside that. But up on Patreon.com, if you guys have a look there, the link I'm posting a link right now. There's 38 people supporting us, and we really appreciate it. And we'll tell you a little bit more at the end of the show, and we'll read out some of our top Patreons' names. It's a good thing to have. We got too many to read them all, so we just read the top ones there.
That's true. So are we not doing the adjective of the week? Because I was all ready to say our mind-boggling patrons, but that might have been from last week, and I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I'm just not a thesaurus guy, so I don't get the words. If you can come up with one before the end, Dan, we will say it. So.
We'll go with stupendously amazing patrons, Patreons, because that's what they are.
Awesome. Okay, well, let me change slides here, and let's talk about some news and announcements. So, Dan, I saw this out on Twitter. Did you see that it was a special day on September 13th?
I did not know that. Too bad it was a day after the podcast or, for last week and stuff, but happy Programmers Day.
Yep, happy Programmers Day. So, September 13th. But don't worry, there's more stuff coming your way. And if anyone can see my shirt, Hacktoberfest is coming. So Hacktoberfest is coming here. They're celebrating the 10th year of supporting open source. So one thing to note, though, since it's grown from 676 participants way back in 2014 to almost 150,000 participants now, just keep up the keeping it sustained or whatever, they're no longer doing free t-shirts. So if any of you guys have actually got a shirt like I have, I've got several. I know Eric has several. We're special because now it's all going to digital rewards.
That's true. You were Hacktoberring before while they were giving T-shirts before they were digital. You're an analog Hacktoberfest member. Well
Yeah,
done.
yeah. So I guess they're just keep growing. So that's a good problem to have, right? Supporting open source is the goal, and there's a lot of
Mhm.
cool things back in there. And so basically right now we're in prep timber, so it's September, we're prepping. So if you guys have an open source project, you can add Hacktoberfest tags to your project so people can find them. If you're going to contribute to a project, get familiar with Git, get familiar with GitHub and how it works, and then basically keep an eye out for those Hacktoberfest tickets. And we'll be putting some Hacktoberfest things up on ours, so you can actually do that. And usually we try and make it simple, a lot of documentation updates, etc. But basically, make some pull requests to open source projects, and then once you've made usually it's four. I haven't checked the rules this year, but once you've got four pull requests that are being marked as accepted, then you're basically going to get the prize. And there's some pretty cool digital rewards these days, and there are some sponsored things, but I know they had a lot of logistic issues with people all around the world. There was tariffs and taxes and issues with shipping, and it got to the point where it was costing them more money to pay tariffs and import taxes than it was for the shirts. And so obviously they want to keep growing it, and they're still doing the plant a tree setup. And so last year you could do a t-shirt or a tree. This year, they're going to plant a tree for the first 50,000 people to have merged their first pull request. So that's pretty cool. So,
And
and they
that
do,
actually brings up a really good point because you're right. Sometimes especially newer programmers or programmers that have never actually contributed before, may get a little intimidated by the whole idea of actually pushing something to a repo that they don't know the person that's doing it. You know, I've never seen someone actually get a pull request and not like it. You know what I mean? Especially if it's something like, if you're nervous about doing, the code and stuff, jump in and do, like you were saying, just manuals and stuff. I mean, they have typos. A lot of them are on GitHub or on Gitbooks, something like that. And that's good. That's a good way to get your feet wet. Um,
that's the idea of
it
this.
might
Is
be a
really
good
just to
thing
get
to.
people familiar, get people into it, and get them using Git and open source. And so that's really the goal. And so if you get on the Discord, people are there to help. There's a Discord link as well, and you can find out more on the Hacktoberfest site. But reach out. If you guys are wanting to get started, we can do that. And we've obviously the community help is what really brings open source the value. If it's just a few people pushing code, it's not the same as when you get that community support. So that's the idea behind it, and we're grateful that the CFML community is strong as it is, and we want to help grow in it. And yeah, this is a good way to get out there and try it, test it out,
Yeah.
and so
That might be a really good and I'll talk about this later about a new series I'm going to do on CF casts, but that might be a good thing to do. Just do a quick 5-minute video on, hey, here's how you do a pull request on GitHub, even if it's just manuals and typos and that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Anyway, random thoughts. I'll,
for
I'll
sure.
discuss that later. Mhm.
Okay, well, next up, we have some CFMLers who got AWS certified. So for those of you who didn't know, Daniel Garcia, he's sometimes on the podcast. He's from Order Solutions. But he got together with a few other CFML community members, and they created a study group to complete the AWS Cloud Practitioner certification, the first on many of the AWS tracks. So all of the group members who took the certification exam passed, which is great for their employers and themselves, obviously the developers and the community. So it's really cool. And I don't know if David cares or not, but David Bellinger was in that group, and he passed as well.
Was.
So
Mhm.
pretty neat. So yeah, I just thought it was kind of cool to share. And just if you guys are looking at certifications, there's a CFML, Adobe CFML certification coming up at CF Summit, which is it's a great class. It's good to fill in the gaps in your knowledge. But get together with a study group, get friends or community members. It really does helps you with accountability to make sure you're still working on it, and you're not skipping everything. Helps you learning, and it's great to socialize with like-minded people and have a common goal. So it's really good to see that group doing well there. And I know they're going to take a little break from that, but they're going to venture out and start getting some other certifications from AWS. So it was really
Mhm.
cool. And again, there's a couple of links I'll be sharing here. One is more about the certifications,
Oh yeah,
and
good point. I
and
should
then
share
they
that
actually have
also.
a PDF which talks about the different paths. So there's different types of certifications. AWS obviously has got a ton of services, And the Cloud Practitioner one is actually a really good start because it gives you a real good overview of all the different services and what they kind of use for, and a really good intro to everything. So very, very cool. So, anyway, just want to sort of let people know that, and congratulations to the CFML developers that got certified for that, and good luck with the rest of them. But I thought it might motivate a few other people to, reach out there and take some certifications and improve your knowledge, keep learning. Okay, new releases and
I
updates.
like about the chat rooms. This is just sounds kind of stupid again, but just it's. I mean, that was totally organic. I mean, that wasn't anything formal or anything else. It just was a bunch of guys on the chat room that just kind of like, "Hey, I have an idea. Let's do this." And then people jumped in. I mean, it was an interesting list of people. There were people that I met before, people that I'd never met before, people that I even heard of before. So it was a mix. It wasn't just like this little insiders group that's like, "Let's do this." It was kind of a cool how they pulled from a or not they pulled. People saw that and they jumped on, and yeah, it was kind of cool.
Yep, for sure.
Mhm.
Okay, so new releases and updates. You want to give us a rundown on what Lucy's been up to there?
So Lucy has a new update. There's a snapshot that's ready for testing. There's the link in the chat. Basically, it's a new snapshot, addresses all the known regressions that happened with 4.4, 5.4.3. So I guess there was a fix for a page pool locking. Serialized JSON produces some invalid JSON that got fixed, and a couple other ones some fixed, including some Docker images. And there's a couple things on there. So really, it's kind of a small update, but it fixed some regressions that happened in the last version. So yeah, they're looking for testers. You can install that using command box and check it out and see if your code runs on it.
Yep, very cool.
Mhm.
Okay, webinars, meetups. And so next up, we have one from Nolan Irk. He's going to be doing the CF Hawaii meetup. So that's kind of cool. We got a few meetups in lots of different places now, which is pretty neat. But we also have this one, and Nolan's going to be doing OOP in Cold Fusion. So it's going to be Friday, September 29th at 12 p.m.
2 weeks.
Hawaiian Standard Time, which I believe right now is 2 hours behind. So that's 2 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Central Time. So he's going to be talking about object-oriented programming and things like abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. So you guys can check that one out. See if Hawaii is hosting that one, and we also have a couple that you might have missed. So if you guys want to check them out, you want to tell us about those, and I'll post the links.
Do I think this is a good thing. No one actually has actually done this this OOP in Cold Fusion. Every time I see it, I'm like, I think it's going to be a thing about debugging, because I keep reading it as oops, like oops in Cold Fusion. I'm like, oh yeah, I should read that. That's how most of my code goes. But object-oriented programming, I think I've caught snippets of it before, and it's really good.
Yep, for
I'm gonna go
sure.
back and watch the whole thing again. But yeah, Hawaii is doing a bunch. This is really kind of cool. So it just happened. They invited Mark Takata from Adobe on he did a whole thing on GraphQL and Cold Fusion. Just kind of quick summary: GraphQL is a query language for APIs and a runtime for fulfilling those queries with your existing data. GraphQL provides a complete and understandable description of the data in your API. It gives clients the power to ask for exactly what they need and nothing more. Makes it easier to evolve APIs over time and enables powerful developer tools.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
so
kind of neat. I should do that. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I could even quote Adam Tuttle. It's like this is the first time in a long time that Cold Fusion has added something that Adam Tuttle thought was actually useful. GraphQL. So
The official Tuttle bar of approval. It cleared it. That's
yeah.
awesome.
Well, no,
Mm-hmm.
like as a language, we've got a lot of features already in there, and so a lot of things you add just for hype. But this one here is actually, pretty useful to be able to read GraphQL from, inside Cold Fusion from other locations is pretty neat. So you can bring it all together. And
That
then
is
we
cool.
also have another one in case you miss it, Sacker Interactive, which is actually Nolan Irk's meetup group, which they do
In
online.
Sacramento, right?
Yep, in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had Mark Takata coming and talking about Cold Fusion 2023 modern CFML development ecosystem. So he comes and talks about all the new features. He talks about GraphQL and some of the native GCP, so the Google Cloud Platform, including
Okay.
storage, Firestore, PubSub. He talks about
Mm-hmm.
GWT and security editions for single sign-on and the Cold Fusion Administrator and those types of things. So really pretty cool little video. And if you want to learn a little bit more about CF 2023, I'm posting the link right now. So
And Gavin, thank you for saying JWT. For some reason, I just can't get my head around that people pronounce it Jot. props to them, no problem with it, but I can't seem to do it. So
Yeah,
thank you for saying JWT,
it's like
just for my own personal satisfaction.
yeah. I know. I try to say JWT. The jot thing just it really throws me. I mean, I know there's some other people that we won't mention that say
Mhm.
CLI instead of CLI, and
Oh yeah, see, that's just makes
yeah,
it's like cringe.
yeah. Well, that one really I really cringe because it's like I can
Mhm.
see how they could say it, but it's like, ugh. But it's the whole SQL or SQL. I'm okay with that one. It's been around forever, and it's just kind of the
Mhm.
way it is. But like, yeah, sometimes they really throw me. And the Clee one would just, I was like, what? Just sound. It almost sounds icky to me. I don't know,
You
but
know, it does. It's like it's a Klee. It's like or it sounds like a Klingon or something. You know, like a language from a different language.
yeah, just
Anyway, whatever. Although we are an inclusive organization, so people
yeah,
can
it's
say
just
whatever they want, and we
again,
affirm them, and that's great. We'll welcome them anyway.
yeah,
It
but
is all
it's
personal
just funny.
preference.
It's just weird. That's like me when I say all these New Zealand words and everybody looks at me funny. I know we talk different. It's okay.
No,
But
it's all
anyway,
good. Makes the world an interesting place.
yep.
CFCast content updates. We do have a couple recent releases. The end of the box 2023 videos are available for purchase. They are an exclusive premium package. You can check them out on the cfcast.com under series. It's called ITB 2023. Subscribers will get access to the premium package after a 6-month exclusive window. So, when did that 6 months start? From the conference or from now?
Yeah, basically
Do you
from
know,
the
Gavin?
conference. So
The conference.
basically
Okay.
right before the end of the year. So hopefully in time for your Christmas break, we'll make them available. And see what we used
Okay.
to do. This does confuse people, but what we used to do is have this available somewhere else. And so everybody would have to go create an account over in that other system, and they'd watch them over there,
Oh, gotcha.
and then we'd
Mhm.
move them all over to CFcast. And we're like, this is we do it because there's a lot of time and money that goes into creating them, and people went to the
Mhm.
conference. That's their perk, and it's something that other people pay online for online access and everything. So it's
Sure.
like it's a premium thing. And so CF Cash, you get a lot of great content as part of your subscription, and you will
Mhm.
get this content. But we wanted to put it in one place, but we had to give it that little premium thing just so. If you wanted it right away, you have to either go to the conference or pay for the online ticket. So that saves people basically just signing up for CFcast for $25 and then watching it all in 1 month. And it's sad that we have to do that, but this is an investment. We don't make a lot of money with the conference. It's more of a marketing thing and a community thing. It actually costs us money to put on, so this helps to balance it out. And so it's a premium package, and if you want to purchase it, you can get it before, or you can wait, and
Mhm.
we'll make it available to everybody as a regular package. But we don't do this very often. It's not like we're trying to bait and switch you with the membership. It's just this is a premium thing, and yeah, it'll be available for everybody once that time is up. And if you did attend, you should have an email coupon. If you don't, let us know. We will get the coupon emailed to you. But yeah, so all the content is there, and it will go from premium to regular once we hit that time frame. And again, we'll let you know as soon as it does change. 6 months was a basic window, so end of the year. But
Mhm.
we might surprise you Black Friday or something, and give it to you a little earlier. We'll see.
Cool. We do have a couple other new videos. Kind of a slow month a little bit because we're gearing up to release a bunch in the next couple of weeks. But one of them is the new. There's a new ForgeBox module of the week series. We have one new video on that. A couple there on the VS chips and hints. Those are coming through. I mean, those are out now. Coming soon, we have more ForgeBox and VS Code podcast. We have one from Grant, which is on mastering CD Wire version 3. That's been in production for a little bit. Grant, unfortunately, is so valuable. We keep pulling him in a bunch of different projects in different directions, and so we need to give him time to finish that. Same thing for Eric. We have a cold box Elixir coming from Eric. I've been waiting for that one because I think Elixir looks really cool, and I don't quite. It dives into the whole JavaScript tooling system, which I think to me is confusing. So I want
Yeah.
to know more about it.
Well, the good thing
Um,
is Elixir makes it much easier, and so you don't have to worry about a
exactly.
lot of that. So,
Exactly. So I'm
yep.
waiting for that from Eric. Now, one series I wanted to kind of throw out there because I want to get some feedback from people that are on the podcast. We are real the feedback we get a lot of times on CFcast is that we're really good at doing deep dives. Okay. That we can get into cold box or any other box products or whatever and really kind of get a lot of detail out of it. But one of the things that's come up is that sometimes we don't always get the shallow end or how do you even get to the starting point for those deep dives? So I'm working on a series which actually starts not so much at the first or even second step for doing some of these things, but maybe kind of like at step -1 or step 0. Not so much the shallow end, but how do you find the steps to get into the pool? If that makes any
Yeah, how
sense.
to get through the gate?
Um, say it again.
How do you get through the gate to get to the pool?
How do you
Yeah.
get to the gate to get to the pool to get to the thing in the first place? Yeah. So I'm actually soliciting ideas for those those first steps. You know what I mean? Like, so ideas. So my email is dcard@ordersolutions.com. I'm really interested in knowing people saying, all right, this was cool, but I'm missing this piece of information. This is going to focus on the how do we get started. I'm also focused on trying to make them more bite-sized, like having each video, 5 minutes or less, but have a number of them to go together in a series. And so it's not you have to ingest a whole hour or something like that at the same time. So a lot of shorter pieces around a topic that can be kind of cobbled together for a bunch of different series. Um, which is why I was mentioning before about, okay, how do you do a pull request to actually help out with Oktoberfest? That fits right into it. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
short,
curious if you
sweet,
guys
and
could
yeah,
comment in the chat or email the podcast or email me directly. I'd be interested to know kind of what are some of those questions? Or even if you've been a developer for a long time, say, you know what, I know how to do calculus, but I'm really confused about these three things in arithmetic, so to speak, that I don't quite understand. Let's see what we can put together.
yep.
So and
And
look for that coming soon.
yeah, I mean, that's one thing with the templates. They're a great starting point. They show you a lot of different bits and pieces, but a lot of times you don't need to go any deeper than that or do any more. And so it's like, if I want to add a different logbox appender, what do I do? Like
Right.
it's like I've got logbox in the template, but what next? So yeah, I think those
What
are
is
really good
logbox in the
ideas.
first place and what problem does it solve?
Yeah.
Why do I even want that? What is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
I know there was,
Mhm.
I think Eric just did a logbox series not too long ago too, which is a good
He
one.
did.
But
It
yeah,
was very good.
But yeah,
It was
that type
very
of
good.
thing
I
I think
actually
is really
used it a
valuable
lot.
because, again, sometimes you don't know what you don't know and you don't know where to get started. And a lot of times we get the real basics and then you got the advanced and nothing in between. And so, yeah, there's always room for more. So let us
Yep.
know. That's what we're here for. We want to give you the content you need. So,
Absolutely.
okay. So next up, we have some conferences. You want to tell us about the next one coming up here?
Dude, coming up in Las Vegas on the 2nd to the 4th of October this year is Adobe CF Summit West. Session passes right now are going for $199. There's a professional pass for $299. What is the difference between a professional pass and a session pass? You
The
have any idea?
professional pass gives you the certification, the extra day. So you get to
Oh,
stay, get
right.
certified. I think you still get lunch and breakfast on the third day. So you basically, $99 a day is a pretty good deal. I'm going to share my
That
screen
is
right
that.
now.
That's not bad at all.
So you can see here,
Mhm.
they got some great content. They always have a party on the first day, a lot of different stuff. But the Mirage, it's a great venue. And so here,
Mhm.
if you look, the session pass, again, is the first 2 days. The keynotes, all the panels, the speaker Q&A, everything, the first day
Yep.
party, 199. This just gets you the extra. So you get access to the Cold Fusion certification training on the 4th,
There we
and then
go.
you get access to all those videos and materials beforehand so you can do some prep because you do basically a 1 day sort of like it's like a study halls type session, lots
Mhm.
of questions, and it was really good. I went through this process last year with a few different developers, and we
That's
learned a
right.
lot.
Again, Daniel Garcia, you guys
Yep.
got the Adobe certification, right?
Yep. And then there was a few other members from the community there that we talked with and hung out, met some new people too. It was really great. And so that's
Nice.
an extra $100. And so I think that saves you about 50, or at least 50, maybe even a 100 or $2. It's like you get a good deal doing it
Mhm.
this way. It's an extra day.
Cool.
You get all the videos and the materials to work through beforehand too. If
Mhm.
you go on the day, if you've got some good experience, you should be able to pass. And I don't think anyone that I talked to failed. So, if you go through the material, we had Mr. Sappy, Brian Sappy, leading it, and he did a great job leading that, and it was a really good
Nice.
experience, and so highly recommend that. And
Cool.
since you can't come to the Audis CF Summit training, which is the next 2 days because we're sold out already, this is a great thing to go to instead.
It
So,
is. That's true, which is too bad because you're missing out on the summit training. We won't go through all the details on it. Basically, it was on Coldbox 7.0 to Hero. But there will be you will be able to see there are a couple orders people that are speaking at the conference. I think you
yep,
are, Gavin. Are
yep.
you?
I'm speaking,
Okay.
Brad speaking, Daniel Garcia speaking, Luis Majano speaking, and then a lot of our community members you see as I scroll down through the speakers. So, quite a
Yep.
few familiar faces and names.
Brian Kloss. Yep.
Yep.
Charlie Earhart.
Of course, Mark Takata will be there, and
You
Pete
see?
Freitag, and Nolan Eric, and Ray Camden, Monty
Mhm.
Chan. There's quite a few different names you
Bernard.
see around the community. And so there's a lot of
Mhm.
good speakers here. And a lot of great sessions. If you
Speaking of
want,
which, pause right there if you could. If you can
oh,
go back up. Hold on.
sorry.
Go down a little bit. Uh, Back on the speakers. I'm sorry. Actually, I was looking at the feed, and that's a couple seconds behind us. This might be a good opportunity to actually wish Mr. Ortis Solutions himself, Luis Mahano, happy birthday today. And I'm not just kissing up because you're my boss, but you're the best guy ever. And thanks. I appreciate it for just being you.
Yep. So get on Twitter and wish the box creator himself, Luis, a happy birthday.
Exactly.
Yep.
Feliz cumpleaños, senor.
Yep. So if you jump on and look at the agenda, you'll see a lot of the sessions in there and more about everything. There's a lot of great sessions, and yeah, really looking forward to having this here. And yep, I'm on the first day after lunch, so very cool. So we're looking forward to that. And again, we do have the Order CF Summit training. It is sold out. We even got a waiting list, so it was really great to see. So that's on the 4th and the 5th. So Luis and I will be doing that one. So if you guys are still in there for the Adobe certification, we should be around, and you guys can say hi, and maybe we can have lunch or dinner there. We should be around, so be good to see you there. And we're having it right down the street from the Mirage, so really handy. So sorry if you missed out, but we do offer online training. There is a Cold Box 0 to Hero on CFcast, which is available as part of its membership, which is a great deal too. You can walk through that and ping us if you've got questions. But the in-person training obviously is the best, and we even do on-site training if your company needs it. So, just let us know. But we will do another training like this before Into the Box next year, and so we definitely do these trainings wherever we can. Let us know if you're interested in the upcoming ones, and we'll put you on a mailing list and let you know when they're coming. But there is more coming after that. So Into the Box Latam.
Mm-hmm. Into the Box Latin America coming up on November 30th. That's at the University of Business in El Salvador. Now, the majority of that is in Spanish, but there are a couple sessions that are in English. Is that correct?
Correct. For those who are looking, they do have the website up and running, so you can translate it if you want to. But there's all the content you need to know up there, and we're adding to it all the time. So if you're in that neck of the woods, go check it out. It's a great experience, and it's really great to see so many young and sort of excited developers who are, basically just coming from a Java background in El Salvador to see Cold Fusion and be excited about it without all that baggage that other developers in the Western world seem to have. They have a lot of baggage with Cold Fusion, but these guys see it and they love it because as a language, it's really good. It's the baggage that get people down. So it's really cool to see how well it does there.
Amazing when you kind of open your eyes to things that supposedly have baggage. So all of a sudden you're like, oh, that actually is pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, I was listened to a podcast the other day. It was on the Log Rocket podcast, and it was PHP doesn't suck, and then in parentheses anymore. And the guy
exactly.
and the guy basically has the same sort of state that we have. It's a modern language now. We've done all these things to improve it. It's been improving over time, but you've still got all the benefits of the old language, and it's come a long way, but it's still really familiar, and you can get a lot done. And a lot of great tools out there now, and so it was kind of interesting. I'm like, yeah, I can see this from a CFML point of view. So for sure.
Yeah. It's interesting. Everybody wants supposedly the latest and greatest, but then there's also something to be greatly said about the vetted and the solid that have been on for a long time that's made it through all the criticism and is still having the latest and greatest features along with that. So
yeah, for sure. And I mean, we have someone like Adobe who's backing this compared to just an open source setup, because a lot of places it's just all community, and that's great. But it's nice to have a company backing it, and that's sort of get the perks there. Now,
very true.
Into the Box 2024, we have the dates, May 15th through the 17th, and we have a location. We're going to be in Washington, D.C. We're changing it up, no longer in Texas. So I just shared the venue information in the chat, and then we have tickets available. We got really super cheap blind tickets available now. So if you purchase before we announce the speakers, before we announce all the details, you guys can get some tickets for a really great deal. And then we have a call for speakers open too. So I'll post that link right here in the chat for you guys. Dan has just posted the link if you want to get some tickets. But if you're thinking about speaking, there are some perks to speaking. You get a free ticket to the conference. We cover your hotels for a couple of days, basically of the conference. You just have to get yourself there and have a great presentation. But first, you got to submit your topic. So get into the call for speakers, submit some ideas, and if we pick you, we can help you work to make it a great talk. And even if you haven't talked before, it's a great opportunity to get out there. It's a great conference. And Scott's in the chat. He says he's already submitted his topics. So
just a quick thing on that. I think sometimes actually people, this is just, again, I try to look at things a little bit more from like, I've never done this before because I'm still on that end of the spectrum from a lot of these guys that are much more experienced. even if you've never spoken at a conference or you don't think that you have anything to say, you might. Okay. Write something up. I promise we're not going to scream for the rooftops, hey, this person was rejected or whatever. Give it a shot. It's like applying for college. Let them say no. You know what I mean? Like, hey, put it out there because you might be surprised, you
Yep,
know?
for sure.
And I say surprised, not because your content was surprisingly good. I'm saying what I'm saying is it's going to be good. Just put it out there and see what happens. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's the one
Mhm.
thing when you do speak at the conference, like all these people that you've seen speak before, they'll come up to you and tell you, "Oh my gosh, that was really cool. I really like this and that. I never thought of it this way or that." And like you realize those people that you've been looking up to are going to attend your talk and then still get something out of it, Even someone like Luis Mahano, right? That's built Coldbox, this and that, whatever. Sometimes when we take stuff or you do stuff, he'll come back. He's like, "Oh my gosh, that was so awesome," and like you never really get that until you've presented. I think until you're up there, it's very interesting.
And no essay.
No SATs, yeah.
And Dave, yeah, and no SATs. Sorry, I reacted to that. I didn't mean to talk over you. I apologize, Gavin.
No
That was
problem. Yep,
rude.
the chat's always fun. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff out there. Everyone's got something to share that someone could learn from. And if you submit something and it's not quite right, sometimes we'll just try and help you like massage it to get it to be, to be a better talk. And the thing is, you don't have to be an expert in it. If you speak about it, it will make you become an expert because you want to be good enough to talk about it. So if you got something that's interesting to you and you think think you want to talk about it, sometimes submitting that will let you, sort of go through those extra hoops and learning, and then you'll come out even better. Because they say, it's one of those things. If you see someone do it, you learn a little bit. If you do it, you'll learn a little bit more. And if you try to teach someone, you'll learn even more. So it's like the best way to learn something is to teach somebody else it, and I highly recommend it.
That's true. I've actually seen people submit topics on issues that they want to know more about. And then you're right, getting accepted. It's like, I guess I better learn it quickly.
Yep, for
So
sure.
all good.
Yeah, so we
Cool.
hopefully get some new people out there. We always like to have new speakers, and of course, we'll get some of the usual crew out there as well.
Cool. If you need some more conferences, this site, comps.tech, has a huge list of conferences for almost any language or community. Go check it out. And there you go. Scott said, hence why I submitted my topic. See, we have a real world application for musings from the podcast.
Yep.
Good stuff. Mhm.
Okay. Blog tweets and videos of the week. We got the first one up. You want to talk about Ben Adele's first blog post?
I do. I thought this was fascinating. So again, this kind of goes back to this. That's going to almost goes back to what I was talking before about those like I don't want to say basic issues, you know what I mean? But this is a question. Ben basically says, what white space characters does trim actually remove in Cold Fusion? And in doing this, I'm like, well, I didn't. How many are there? What's fascinating to me about this is I went and looked at his and this is one of those things where you can learn something from reading any pod, I mean, any blog. I'm looking at this and he says, well, here are the ones I'm going to test. Tab, line break, carriage return, and space. Well, that makes sense. However, there's also, and I didn't even know these existed, a no break space, an N quad, an M quad, N space, M space, a thick space, a mid space, a 6 per M space, figure space, punctuation space, thin space, hair space, zero width space, line separator, paragraph separator, narrow no break space, and a zero width no break space. And he has hex. There's things on there. It's hex to characters and stuff. I had no idea that there were so many that there were that many. Wow, that's a hard sentence. That there were that many spacing characters to worry about. Um,
Yeah, so we made a little test to try and test it out because what
yep.
happened was this API was breaking because of
Mhm.
basically a U200B, a zero width space, and he basically didn't see it, and so the API didn't like what he was submitting, and so that got him down this road. And then, funnily enough, on Twitter I saw, or on X, sorry, Mark Takata was talking about how Java's changing some of their time, like date time formatting, so there's a space between the time and the PM now, so they're gonna
Mhm.
have to like do special character changes, and yeah, it's gonna make a whole interesting mess of people passing things, but yeah,
Right.
so very interesting. But as you can see, if you're watching online, the first four spaces trim works with it. It trims spaces, line breaks, tabs, and normal spaces, but it does
The
not
standard white space characters, he says.
standard
Yep.
white
Mhm.
space. Yep, but does not do anything to any of the other special characters.
Right.
So I guess we have to
Which
make
is
a
interesting
special one
because
for
they
that.
can get in there quite a lot. Scott saying here in the chat, there's a zero width space, which I'd never heard of before. It's a hex 200B, in case you were curious.
Yeah.
Um, He's saying that that's been thrown him off a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, sometimes when you copy files and they've got the bomb in there, that'll sometimes throw
Yep.
things off too, because there's a
Hmm.
special hidden character. Yeah. So there's a lot
Hmm.
of weird stuff, and I thought it was an interesting blog post, about
Yeah.
that. So thanks, Ben, for sharing that. And then
It's interesting how that encoding. Sorry, this is a total tangent, but I have a bunch of students where I teach where I have a lot of PDFs that have code samples and everything else, and they'll copy it and they'll paste it into their code, which is perfectly fine. That's why it's there. But the quotes are different. The PDF actually turned it into like these fancy curved
the
quotes,
smart quotes is what
which
they
is
call
not
them.
read the same way in the IDE,
Yeah.
and
Actually,
causes
Slack
issues
does that
everywhere.
a lot too. We copy
Hmm.
paste stuff into Slack, copy Slack. We used to use that for our workshops, and whenever we did that,
Hmm.
people would copy paste them, and it would do weird thing with smart quotes or smart apostrophes and sometimes
Yep.
spaces, and that would break people's code a lot
Hmm.
too. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on those things. It's definitely important. We have another one from Ben Adele. It's this one here. He's with
Hmm.
Darren Walker with an All Black shirt on, so go All Blacks. The Rugby World Cup's on right now for those who care. But so what he was talking about here was using file read line with seekable files in Cold Fusion. And so basically what he was talking about here was how he was reading lines from a file in a long running task. And if that task
Hmm.
stopped for whatever reason, they weren't sure where they were and how to pick it up and sort of continue where you left off. And so this one here is talking about basically having a current character offset within the file and then trying to use the file read line to basically sort of read a line at a time and keep track of how many lines you've read and then sort of proceed from there. And so, he's sort of going through this exercise and using the while loop, looking for the end of file and basically looping through and reading one line at a time, and then, closing the file, etc., and going through. And so it was kind of interesting though that he actually could use the line number to jump in and sort of figure out where in the file to read from. Um,
Right.
yeah, I was like, that's really neat. I like again, Ben has different ideas on how to loop through it, but it's kind of a neat way to go, especially if you want to do something that can continue, or it's reading from a file that continues to get more and more files added to it. So at the end of the file, maybe it's going to keep getting, things logged to it, log files, etc. So your code can read through it. And so this is him going through it here, and again, it's kind of interesting to go through and read one line at a time. So again, if you want to check that out, we'll post the links here in the chat. And then we have
Oh,
one
I'm
more.
feeling right here. You're right. You're talking. I should be pasting. I kind of got on a little sidetrack there about. I was looking at Ben's Twitter. Then I was like, does X.com actually exist? Because it's still Twitter.com, but X sends you to Twitter.
Yeah,
And
and a lot of people were having issues when their wives found out they had a whole bunch of subscriptions to X.com and stuff like that. There's been a whole lot of interesting things with X.
yeah,
Elon Musk definitely gets people's attention. But I used to
true.
use TweetDeck a lot for a lot of this stuff here, but apparently you have to be a pro member to get that now, so you got to pay. So you can't even
Oh,
read
gotcha.
Twitter without being logged in anymore. They keep changing a lot of things. So anyway,
Huh.
we had a tweet from Ben. Now this one was about an application data source error that he was having running in 2023 on Docker, and I just wanted to share it because again, X.com is pretty neat for when you come through here. Somebody said it actually is to do with the GraphQL client having an error, and so if you install that package, maybe it won't error. And so Ben went back and installed it in CFadmin and then restarted the container, and lo and behold, that fixed his problem. So it's
Cool.
crazy,
And
isn't
that
it?
had to do like the fundamentally with application-based data sources, not something coming in from like config or administrator. It's in the app set in the application
Yeah, so
.cfc or
application, yeah,
something.
like this dot data source equals, and you can set
Right.
set the data source. But
Mhm.
yeah, basically, if you have other code in your application CFC, a lot of times if it errors, it just ignores stuff in there. If it doesn't make sense, it'll ignore your application CFC file stuff, which is interesting. And so that errored above it, I think. I didn't read the entire thing. So interesting though that sometimes one error could actually be something else which is causing it. And so that's why I like to share those because it's not obvious. Debugging is not
Right.
always as obvious as it could be or should be, and sometimes you got to look for those, the strange things. And again, asking for help, it's a good way to get it too. And so Ben produced that sample app, which is a good way too. If you got a question, produce a reproducible scenario so people can, try and help you. If you say it's not working, it's broken, like that doesn't help people. They can't help you if they can't,
Right.
reproduce it. And so
What's
very
also
cool.
cool about blog posts like that is you realize that this is someone obviously that knows Cold Fusion and has been very successful in the field, and is still throwing out questions that he is like, "How does this work?" And people are responding, and it's a collaborative effort.
Exactly. We can all
So,
learn something. Nobody knows
mhm.
everything. If they do, then they don't know that they don't know. So next up.
I was gonna say, except for Brad, he's pretty knowledgeable, but then I didn't want to go into the fact that not knowing. But anyway, I'm just saying he knows a lot. Anyway,
Yep. So
jobs.
yeah, so getcfmljobs.com has some great
Mhm.
opportunities, and so I'm going to open that up in my local, so if those watching can see. But Dan, you want to give us a rundown because I've got 98 positions on there, and we've had 4 listed in the last couple of weeks. So if you want to,
98 positions, 65 companies across 43 locations in 5 countries. So here's 4 in the last 2 weeks since we actually last
I think
broadcast.
it's
Now, this
3
I thought was
actually.
interesting.
Sorry, it's
Sorry?
3. It's 3. My bad. Keep going.
Oh, well, one of them got filled. Congratulations, whoever got that job. Props to you. Nice. We are looking for Patreon supporters now that you have a paycheck. All right. So we have 3 jobs in the last 2 weeks. There's a full-time position in Melbourne, Australia. It's interesting. It's for a cleaning company, which I'm reading this and I'm like, bond cleaning. What is that? No, it literally is a cleaning company. And I looked on the website but they're looking for someone to manage. Obviously, the website must be all of their scheduling and everything else. I'm like, that's fascinating. So property owners, real estate, but they're looking for a job there. Okay, for someone to be there. We also have here in the U.S. I don't know the country, but this is a Cold Fusion Developer 2, a remote position. Oh, for community brands. Um, the developer position is responsible for writing application code to contribute to the full lifecycle of development from concept to post-production. Um, Maintenance of server OS, desktop. Oh, wow, they want a lot of stuff here. Anyway, responsible for coding according to prescribed standards and guidelines set forth by the architects and leadership teams and must demonstrate quality, brevity, and timeliness in all deliverables. I could never apply for that job because the brevity aspect, that's just kind of tough.
Yep. As usual, there's a good sprinkling of technology in most of these jobs. But
Mhm.
if you look through them and, if you're out looking, sometimes, um, not having all the qualities is okay. Just get the ones, tell them the ones you have and just mention that you're willing to learn. And, sometimes you can learn something on the job. And the third one we
Brevity,
have,
by the way, means not talking a lot. I think that Gavin and I would have a problem with that situation, but I think we
well,
applaud everyone else.
yeah, at
Mhm.
least they're remote, right? So at least they can't hear us all the
Yes,
time. So.
exactly. They can do the Zoom calls on mute. I've started doing that a lot more often.
And then U.S.
All
citizen
right.
for the last one, and that's Tamina, and that's full time in Washington D.C. And you must be a U.S. citizen and must be clearable, clearance or an active clearance preferred, government agency experience required. And they do mention Flex, which has been a while since I've heard that being used, but a lot of apps are still running, and Cold Fusion
Flex.
position. So a lot of great stuff in here. Again, if that's something you want, please go to check out getcfmljobs.com. And if you have a job that you want to post, you can post it up here for free, and the site will scrape those, um, the popular sites, as well as posting them. So it's a great place to basically go look for jobs and post them there as well. And you guys can check out the jobs channel on the CFML Slack team and the Box Slack team. So always positions available. So go find some. Okay, so moving on to the module of the week from ForgeBox. And this week it's not a module, it's an extension. So the Ortus ORM extension for Lucy. So if you guys are using Lucy, Lucy does have its own Hibernate ORM extension. But basically, Ortus says we use Hibernate and ORM so much that we want to make sure that the extension is up and running, and basically to the standards we need it to. A lot of the other core Lucy members do not use ORM as extensively as Ortus, and so we thought it'd be great to pick that up and obviously sort of drive that forward. And so I think in the first month that we had it before we even released it, we made a ton of changes. So it's got a lot of cool stuff in it. There's over 20 native CFML functions. There's cool little event listeners, so sort of like interceptors for on pre-insert, on pre-update, on pre-delete, and a whole bunch of cool stuff in there. It supports a bunch of different database dialects, SQL Server, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and apparently 60% faster startup than the Lucy Hibernate extension. So if you guys are wanting faster startup in your apps, it sounds like a great way to go. And you can find out more on the Ortus extension, rmextension.ortusbooks.com, which thing I'll be posting
Right
in
there in the
here.
chat.
So yeah, so the Ortus RM extension for Lucy, if you're using Hibernate with Lucy, give it a try. We're making a lot of improvements here, improving documentation, improving compatibility. So we're working hard to make this even better. So please check it out. Give us feedback. Let us know. File some bugs. And then, yeah, maybe help with some documentation as part of Hacktoberfest. That'll be great. And it
Now, the
is
difference
native.
between a module and an extension, the module is actually CFML code that may run kind of like in your code base, but the extension is designed to run as part of the whole Lucy engine, right?
Yeah, so this is actually written in Java. So we're dropping down to Java, native Java, to create the ORM, and then we basically give you all the hooks to get into it from CFML. So that's where those functions and tasks can come from. So
Nice.
yeah, very cool. A lot of great work gone into that, and I know Michael Bourne was a big part of that. There are some other Ortus members working on that, and other community members, I'm sure, that have helped over time for the Lucy extension. But yeah, we're making big steps, and again, we need your feedback, your support to continue to make it even better. So go check that out and give it a whirl. See if it's 60% faster for your app. So it'll be good to know. Okay, next up, our VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week. Have you used any of these Peak tools? Because this one is a CSS
I actually don't use
Peak.
VS Code. I'm still using IntelliJ by IDEA, and I like it. There's one or two things that are starting to be an issue that it does not do because their Cold Fusion support's a little bit behind. But I still like it a lot, and so much that I pay for it. But I think I'm going to have to make the jump to VS Code sometime in the future. I tried once and I just couldn't get my muscle memory to work right. But maybe I should try it again. But what is CSS Peak?
It's an extension to VS Code, which allows you to basically go to definition or go to symbol in the workspace for CSS, CSS layers, etc. for classes and IDs. So if you're in your code and you've got, a class, and like if you guys can see in the video, basically you can hover over the class equals comments, and then you can push a key and it's going to pop up a list of files that actually might mention that class, so you can go see where was it defined, where is the styles being defined for it, and so that way you can actually go ahead and go and see it. The cool thing is sometimes it has more than one container that might have it, or more than one file, so you can go see, let me go look on the list file, let me go look in the SCSS file, or let me go look in the CSS file, because sometimes we've got multiple files being created, and it's a pretty cool looking little tool. And so this is very similar. There's other tools out there. So there's Peak for other tools. I know that you can do that with JavaScript stuff and just HTML items in general. And with the CFML extension, you can click and click through to go see the definition of a lot of things as well. So, but this little Peak thing is kind of cool because it's so hard to find out where your styles are. That's the biggest problem with the old school styles, is that you might have that style mentioned in 6 different places and you got to find where it is, or if it's still being used or not. So it's kind of cool to, if you're in one of those, you can peek into where it is and see what it's defined and where it's being used. So
yeah, like you have one element on your page that's acting differently than the rest, but it has the same class. It just happens to be inside of another div, and then there's a rule about the inheritance and everything else, and that just can throw everything off. But cool, sounds good.
Okay, and remember, if you guys have any VS Codes extensions you want to recommend, or some ForgeBox mods of the weeks, let us know, and we'll be happy to share them with the group. But last but not least, we have our Patreon supporters, and you said they were our stupendously awesome, or
stupendously awesome. We'll stupendously awesome Patreon supporters. These individuals are personally supporting our open source initiatives and ensure to ensure the great toolings like CommandBox, ForgeBox, ColdBox, ContentBox, TestBox, all the other boxes, not box.com, but other stuff. Keep getting the continuous, and it helps the community get the continuous development that they need, that we can provide, and funds the cloud infrastructure that our community relies on, like ForgeBox for our package management with CommandBox. You too can support us here at patreon.com/OrtusSolutions.
Yep, and don't forget we have
Um,
annual membership, so you guys can purchase for the year and you can save 10%, which is great
mhm.
for everybody, not just businesses. But if coming up to the end of the year, sometimes you got to blow your budget, blow it on us. We're happy to
Mhm.
just take it and can
Sure.
support the community. But
We're
bronze
not proud.
packages enough. Sorry, you're like, we're not proud. Is that what you said?
I said we're not proud. We'll be the extra, budget splurging that you want us to be. That's fine.
Yeah, but again, we do have some perks as well. So if you are a Patreon, those bronze packages and up now get a Forgebox Pro account and CFcast subscriptions as a perk for the Patreon subscription. All Patreon supporters get their profile badge on the community website, and they have their own private forum access on the community website and their own private channel on the Box Team Slack channel. So if you guys, want to ask us questions, or if we have something coming out, sometimes we'll throw it out there for you guys to see a little earlier as Patreon. And so we want to let you guys know that you get some perks for the donation. Of course, you get that warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that you're helping the community get bigger, better tools from Auto Solutions.
And we always have to put in that disclaimer. That does not mean that we ignore the other channels. It just means that sometimes we get to their channels as soon as we can, where the Patreon is more like ding. Okay, let's answer a question there.
Yep. And
So
I mean, the other thing too is, like I said, sometimes we'll throw ideas at them and get their feedback because obviously, they're supporting us. Their opinions matter. They're like our super fans. You got to listen to your super fans, so can't ignore them. So, but we have, like I said, a lot of Patreons now. We're only reading the top Patreons, so these are some of our top Patreons. So we want to thank John Wilson from Synaptrix, Tomorrow's Guides, Jordan Clark, Gary Knight, Giancarlo Gomez, David Bellinger, Dan Card, that's you, Jeffrey McGee from Sunstar Media, Dean Wander, Kevin Wright, Doug Kane, Nolan Irk, and Abdul Rahim. So a lot of great supporters there. We really appreciate each and every one of you. And how weird, do you read your name when you do this? Do you actually read your own name? Or you say me?
I do, but I kind of gloss over it. I say it quickly because
Okay.
it's like, you know,
Yeah, thank
I
you,
kind of
me.
see it as like, like there's like private schools and stuff that do like fundraising and stuff, and they want to make sure that all the faculty are supporting it, which they do. So that's kind of how I see this. But
Yeah.
no, actually, I still benefit from it a lot.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you guys are, if you are doing Patreon and you pay for Pro account, you get the subscription to CFcast, you get the Forgebox Pro subscription, and so these are valuable tools. And basically, we're just putting it there. So instead of you paying for those tools and getting no recognition, you can pay for the tools and then get the recognition as being a Patreon supporter as well. So I think that's a pretty cool little perk there. And of course, we got many more Patreons. If you go to the website, autosolutions.com/about-us/sponsors, you can see the full list of them. And as we get new ones, we'll try and get that updated as well. So, but yeah, it's been a good long time since we've had a chat on here, since a few months. But if you guys are going to be in Vegas, remember myself and Brad, Daniel Garcia, and Luis are all going to be at CF Summit. So hopefully you guys will come out and say hello. Come see us at the booth. Hope you attend our sessions, or at least just come say hi. And if you're a Patreon, definitely come say hi. We want to thank you in person. So we appreciate each and every one of you. And thanks again for those in the chat. We appreciate it. You guys have a great week. And yeah, we'll catch you all soon. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, guys. Good to see everyone. Have a good week or 2 weeks.
Bye. Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.